Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocked tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Step in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title belts, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks popping, who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am 1/3 of the greatest mixed tag team in podcasting, the legend J Mac. And of course, with me as always is everybody's favorite Uncle Slam.
What's up?
And of course, it wouldn't be a show without the first lady of wrestling podcast, the Vipress.
Hi, everyone.
What's up, guys? It's been a while.
It does.
Yeah.
It does seem like it's been a long time.
That's all right. We was enjoying time with the family, getting our bellies full, and doing all the holiday spirit stuff and everything. Of course, we'll have a couple more weeks missing here in a couple of weeks for Christmas and New Year's. It's a crazy time of the year, so it's hard to keep up with everything. So that's why we just decided that we're going to take a couple weeks off, just enjoy the families and relax, and just try to have some fun with everything while we can. But of course, we're back for you now, everybody. And it's been a long 2 weeks, and I have collected up a lot of stories.
His brain's hurting over there. He's like, I just gotta let it out.
His brain's hurting.
Right. I got to start this one off with this, because I just thought it was hilarious. I know it's been a couple weeks ago, but everybody's seen the entrance with Brock Lesnar, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
He slipped and
amazing.
fell.
Yeah. yeah. Okay.
So I ran
Paul
across.
Heyman looked like he was just a disappointed dad.
He just
I don't know
looked
if
over
you've all
like,
seen his
oh,
face.
okay. So
It's so funny.
I came across this and I had to show it because I thought it was hilarious. The Brock Master.
You're
Oh,
stupid.
I like the one where it's got an invisible John Cena. Looks like he's suplexing him.
I haven't seen that. Thank you for
You
the
haven't seen that one. I
viewers
have to send it
joining
to you
us.
because it's so funny, because especially where Brock literally destroyed John Cena and there's nothing going to happen with that. So all of a sudden you can't see me. John Cena suplexes him, and that's why he falls back.
Did you know that I actually seen a story about that? Because I didn't know that Cena had been diagnosed with skin cancer.
John Cena?
Yeah, and I
didn't
mean,
know that
it's
either.
all taken care of and everything now. He's in the clear,
Yeah.
but like he had to have something done around the time of that match. So instead of missing the match because of having the melanoma or whatever it was removed, he went ahead and went through with the match. But he was like, "I'm hurting, so let him just go out there and bury me." He's like,
okay.
he's like, for one, it's not going to
Yeah,
hurt.
but-
It's not going to hurt me because I'm John Cena. You know what I'm saying? I got buried by, in my last big run and everything. And it's Brock. Brock's going to be there for a little while longer. So, and plus he's a big monster beast. So he was just like, it's not going to hurt or really help anybody that much. He's like,
The problem I have is storyline wise, it just didn't make sense, and it's not making sense in the end either for me. I'm a storyline person, like through and through. Like, I love the wrestling part, don't get me wrong, but I love the soap opera part of it too. And it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially whenever he brought like 50 or 60 kids out there to watch him get destroyed too. So
right.
Like to me, that was the only bad thing. It's like you had all the kids, which made me think that, okay, well, he's going to win. He's got all these kids, and he just got destroyed. And just think how those poor kids felt. they were watching their hero, the guy they thought that was going to win, getting
They were
just
crying.
demolished.
They were crying.
Demolished.
I was crying too because I was laughing so hard. 'Cause it didn't affect me too bad because I couldn't see the other guy that Brock was throwing around anyway. So
That's so funny.
On to, let's see. I think I got. Well, let me see. I got another funny one. I think I can't remember. We'll just go through them. It don't matter in any particular order. I figured I'd bring this up because I figured this one would interest you a whole lot, Vipers. So Mercedes Moan or Monet or whatever her name is. I don't know. What Banks?
I don't know if I've seen that. I don't know if her name is Monet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
I don't.
I think it might have enhanced it, but I mean, Stephanie Bakir has been here since before then. It just because Forbidden Door happened doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't already have their eye on her.
It's not. Like I said, it's stupid because of the fact that if you don't know what's going on, Josh,
Mercedes said that Stephanie Bakir was only picked up because of Forbidden Door. What year was it? 2024 from AEW, and I'm just no. Stephanie Bakir has had herself established way before then, but I don't believe that.
I mean, but how many people haven't been picked up like that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's been 50 million
so
people.
What's the significance of it?
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like what they do, WWE, because they don't have territories anymore to develop talent. So WWE just goes around and pretty much picks up talent from other wrestling organizations. If you got a top star, they got the money, they got the power or prestige, whatever you want to call it, to take your rising star and make it their rising star. So it's pretty common.
I mean, you can say that. You can say that about. I mean, if she wants to say about Stephanie, you can also say it about Blake Monroe. You can also say it about Jade Cargill. I mean, you can say it about multiple people. You can't just be like, oh well, they're only picking up this person because this particular PLE. It doesn't work that way.
You can say it about Hulk Hogan. You can say it about Stone Cold. You know what I'm saying?
It's just too common, like to be that big of deal, to me at least.
Right. And to me, it was just another thing. I used to be a huge fan of Sasha Banks. I ain't going to call her no Mercedes.
Dude, I love her as Sasha Banks.
But whatever this attitude she has now, and I get it, it's probably just wrestling persona. I'm the queen. I'm the best, blah, 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 whatever. But it's like,
I don't believe that.
If this is an extension of who you really are, then you're not a very good person because you're over here, stealing other people's thunder to elevate your stock instead of just saying, hey, me and Stephanie Bakir had a great match at whatever that pay-per-view was, and that helped her get looked at by the WWE. But
I never even knew she had the match before this even came out. I never even knew the match happened.
Well, my whole thing is why do you have to attempt to bury Stephanie? Know what I'm saying?
Because she's got to be on top all the time.
And that's my point. That's a reason why I have lost so much respect and everything for Sasha, Mercedes, whatever. I know her real name's Mercedes, but I don't know what her.
Can I piggyback off this real quick?
Yeah.
I don't know if you all know, but last night Ring of Honor had their PLE, and
I heard about it. Yeah,
Sasha. Well, let me rephrase that. Sorry, I always say Sasha because I respect her in that form. But Mercedes lost her title, her Ring of Honor title last night.
Oh, really?
So she don't
so she lost. Anymore? No, she lost one of them last night.
That's crazy.
About time. Like I said, I mean, there's no point having
about time.
Like if you don't defend them and shit, in my opinion and shit, it's just useless.
You don't need all them titles.
You're just walking.
You're taking away from all the other indie wrestlers that deserve them titles.
Yeah,
it's just
that work their asses off get to those titles. And you won't come in here because somebody gives you an amount of money just to hand you a title so they can possibly make more money, but they don't.
And I get it, it's not a bad thing for a wrestler to be able to say, "Hey, I'm a multi-time champion," and held, that's the thing. Like back in the 90s, whenever Ultimo Dragon, people don't even realize that Ultimo Dragon at one point in time was WCW's cruiserweight champion and the WWF's light heavyweight champion at the same exact time. But it's because of the fact that he won them overseas in Japan and everything. He had like 12, 13 belts at one point in time. Ultimo Dragon was a beast, you know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. He was going around defending those titles. He was like, you would see him defend the cruiserweight title in WCW, and then you wouldn't see him for a couple of weeks because he was over in New Japan doing stuff. He was over in All Japan. He was, he was a traveling fighting champion. He wasn't just sitting around in one company and going, "Look, I got 15 companies' belts, and I'm not defending them anywhere, but I've got them." I don't know. It just I didn't like it.
I don't like it.
Well, see,
I can handle like 2, maybe even 3, but like when you're getting upwards of 4 and 5, or even 7, 8, 9, 10, that's ridiculous. Like there's no reason for that.
It's overkill.
Well, see, to me, that brings up a good point. Does the benefit outweigh, like, okay, we'll go with Sasha Banks, Monet, like whatever you want to call her. Does the benefit of her winning all these other belts help the promotions enough to let them give it to her? Like, because they're, basically she's bringing honor and grace to their, small places that they probably wouldn't even have any promotion. They can say, okay, well, so-and-so with our champion, like, does it work out for each one? Like her having all these belts make her a better champ, and does it bring more recognition to these other organizations? Like, is the benefit outweigh the bad? Because they could have that on somebody else, like promoting somebody else, but instead they're giving a belt to her to make her look better than she is. Would it be better served them putting it on somebody else, or by giving her all these titles? Which one is the better? Who's winning, basically?
She is, because if they go bankrupt just to pay her to be there one time, then that's ridiculous. It's not a benefit to the company. It's literally just saying, hey, we've had Sasha Banks here, Mercedes Moné here, won our title, and now she's getting ready to lose it again. Plus the fall is going to be even harder than that rise up.
But they're going to say, like, the greatest woman champion in history had our belt. At one time she was, like she brought, prestige, or, as the legend always says, you bring some, like an older superstar in to bring some prestige or to bring some honor to that belt. Is that what she's doing to these smaller companies' belts?
Yes and no. I mean, it's never bad for a smaller independent company to have your belt, your title on a big show. But if the title's never being defended at the same time, then what,
that makes it a problem.
Take EWA, for example. If EWA, say Jordan Cage wins this tournament to, win back his EWA championship.
Right.
He wins it back and then goes down to Appalachian Mountain and, hey, cool. The EWA champions, wrestling in Appalachian Mountain. Then he goes to Tennessee and wrestles in a couple of promotions. Yeah, it's great that everybody else is seeing the EWA champion, but if he's not coming back to EWA and defending that title, then how is that helping EWA in the long run? You see what I'm saying? It's not. It's helping him.
Kind of like pointless for him to hold it. It's pointless for somebody to hold something that they're not actually going to defend and make it actually mean something.
I agree with y'all on that. And like what I don't get about all the belts is nobody knows who all these belts belong to. So it's not like she's showing off every belt every time, because there's so many of them. Like nobody knows all these organizations. So I think sometimes all these belts just get caught up in the mix. You know, there, you know, like she might show, you know, like if she's on TNA, you know, the Knockout Championship or something like that, or the AEW Championship, and hold it up. But as far as all the rest of these other, you know, maybe Ring of
No,
Honor
she
or
has 13 men
I
carrying
saw
these
that.
belts out with
I
her.
saw that, but I thought that was just a pay per view thing, like where she had them.
No,
Because normally
that's
she's been putting
every
them on.
single place.
Oh, okay. So she just started that where she has all these guys carrying every single belt. Okay.
See,
That's
I
why
just,
I think it's an ego thing. I don't think it's necessarily she's the best, because it's ego. It's
Uh,
just ego.
and
It's
and
ego.
to play into the ego thing, there's a lot of people who are saying that, you know, that ego is what got her pushed out of WWE, is because of the fact that she wasn't happy that she wasn't being pushed as a singles, you know, world champion anymore. She was being pushed as a tag team champion. Well,
Well, she was
instead,
tag team champion with Naomi
right,
at the
right,
time of her leaving.
right, and that's what she was mad about. She was mad about the fact that instead of wrestling for the world title, she was being put into the tag team division. But see, there's where her ego came into play, and she didn't understand, at least in my opinion, from the outside looking in. I think the WWE was saying, hey, we've got enough confidence in you that we need somebody from the world title status to come down to these tag team titles and give these tag team titles some prestige. They're brand new. You know, we're trying to push this tag team division for the women and everything. And you're a name. You're a
We
marquee
need a
name.
big name on it.
Right. So we're putting a big name on it. You know, I don't believe for 1 minute that anybody ever walked up to Sasha Banks and said, hey, you're just going to be a tag team wrestler now for our company. You're not going to, you know, we're never going to put you into the world title picture again. Nothing like that. Because think about it.
I
All it
think
did
she's
was,
afraid of another woman being ahead of her. Me being a woman, I see that so
the
hard
jealousy.
in her. Yes, she is so afraid of another woman being more better than her in the wrestling industry as its entirety. And
I
I
agree.
think that's a little ridiculous.
I agree. Like I
All
said, I
right.
used to be a huge fan of Sasha, but until all this.
I'm gonna play devil's
I
advocate.
agree.
Is it jealousy or like is it just competition? Because if you don't want to be the number one, like if you don't want to be the number one star,
You
should you
shouldn't
really
be in it.
be? Yeah, like should you really be in wrestling? Because that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to shoot to be number one. You're not supposed to be number two or shoot for, you know, second coming.
You can
Now
be a star
I understand
without being extra hungry.
um because I feel like, and also, you know, I think she still would have been a star in WWE, but I think she became just as famous or did just as well away from WWE. Like I think, you know, some
I
people need
agree.
WWE to be successful. I don't think she's one of them. You know, she's got her movies, she's got television, she's got wrestling, obviously. So I think she still, you know, get just as much without having to be as restricted with WWE, or I guess follow their rules or like do with, or, you know, go underneath their say. So I think it kind of worked out for her in the end. You know, she trusted herself more than she did them and was like, look, I'm going to do what
I
I
agree.
think I need
She's
to do.
making bank, so
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know,
what she's
I mean,
doing is she's doing it right.
no pun intended. You know, Sasha Banks is making bank.
She's
Nah,
making that Monet.
Making that
Monet,
Monet.
making
Making that
Monet.
bank.
Making that bank.
Well, I seen this and it kind of like I'm okay with this. I love it. I
Oh
hope
God.
he does well. But have y'all
Okay.
seen that
Let's see.
Stephen Borden, son of WWE Hall of Famer Sting, makes his in-ring debut Friday night at DEFY Wrestling?
Oh,
I'm
Sting
tired of the
son?
nepotism in the company.
Sting's son. And I'm okay with it because of the fact that, you know, he's not starting out with one of the big companies. He's going on the indie scene to hone his craft and everything.
The way you should
What you
start at the
should do.
bottom.
That's it, you know. I love it. I mean, if you look at this guy, man, he looks just like Sting when he was younger. Especially if you go back to
Actually,
like
kind of does.
when he was when Sting and the Ultimate Warrior were part of the Power Team USA and then the Blade Runners and stuff, this looks just like Sting
Just like
without
him.
without the blonde hair. And I never realized how. I mean, even when it was, shout out to the local team, even though I can't stand them, but he was a former, I think, tight end for the UK Wildcats.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Stephen Borden. Yeah, he played for the UK Wildcats. I just thought it was a cool little
I
story
didn't
and
keep up
everything.
with UK football.
I thought it was cool, Sting's son's getting into the business, and I mean, I wish him well. I hope he does good. I don't
Okay.
want to see him go Crow character.
No.
I want him to be his own. I
Own
don't want him to
person,
be
yeah.
Sting version 2 or anything like that.
Right.
The little stinger, So I don't
The
know.
little
I don't-
stinger. No, don't do that. Please don't do that.
So to piggyback off that, I heard that, and I don't have any pictures today for y'all. I'm sorry, but that Chris Benoit's son is
Yeah.
now working and training. But with that being said, WWE will not hire him because of his name.
That's so stupid. Why are we
Yeah.
going to punish him for what
was
his
a
dad may have
child.
done?
He was a child
Yeah, I
when
think
this
he was-
all happened.
Yeah,
he had
'cause
nothing to do, wasn't even there.
You're talking about David Benoit, right?
Yes.
His
yes.
oldest kid, the one that's not.
Yes.
It wasn't Nancy's. It was his other
Right.
wife's son.
From his first marriage.
Yeah, and that's why are we punishing that kid
Yeah.
and telling him
For
no?
something for his
For some-
name.
That's it. I'm sorry. Okay. You changed Braun Breaker's name from Steiner to that stupid ass name he's using now. Sorry, I'm gonna die on this hill. I
Yeah,
hate
but
that
Steiner
name.
doesn't have like the type of like history behind the name. That's the problem.
That's my point, though.
But he
is-
looks so much like Chris Benoit. It's not even funny.
I think that's what it is. I think they just want to. They want to
It's so
completely
crazy.
distance themselves away from anything to do with Chris Benoit. That's
It's
why
just sad.
I wish.
I hope
I know we're going on like almost 20 years later, but I wish to God that if Benoit, if it could be proven that he didn't do it and there was other foul play going on, I wish they could get it out there, just for the simple fact that I hate that David has to walk around and be looked at side-eyed because of what his dad may have done. And I'm
might
not
have done. Yeah.
right.
Do
And
you
I'm
think
not
he should
saying
change his name though? Because a lot of
That's what I was
wrestlers
going to
do change their
say.
name.
as a wrestler, yes, just go ahead, get a stage name, and
Well,
if
that's
you
what I
can,
was saying. Yeah, saying like would a stage name be disrespectful to his dad?
I don't think so. Is it disrespectful to, the Steiners that,
Yeah,
everybody
that's what I'm
knows, everybody knows Braun
No.
Breaker is Rick Steiner's son, but they don't call
I
him
didn't
Rick.
for the longest time. It took me like 2 years of knowing who Braun Breaker was back in NXT before I even knew he was a Steiner.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Well,
really. I
they
had no
hit it.
idea. My boyfriend had to tell me because I had literally no idea. And
I
he's like,
knew it
yeah,
just-
he's a Steiner.
I knew it just from the dirt sheets and knowing that he was training and that he was coming up because his cousin, Scott Steiner's son, is training down at the Performance Center right now. So they're talking about bringing him in, but he wants to use the actual Steiner name, is what they said.
Yeah.
Well, once
So
you said it, like I
I think it goes back to David looking almost identical to what Chris Benoit. I mean, he looks so much like Chris Benoit.
That's
So
it.
when you look at him, that's what I hate saying it, but like
His-
I look at him and I see Chris Benoit, and it's just the craziest thing to me.
Especially
So
when
I
he
think
smiles.
that has a lot to do with it. Yes.
When he smiles, he looks just like him.
So I think that has a lot to do with it, not necessarily the name. Yes, the name is, the name, but it's just the uncanny similarity. I mean, I know he's his son, but it's just crazy.
It is. So segueing off that, I found this kind of cool. I didn't know this, and I couldn't get the video to be able to actually show the entire video for the interview. So I got a still picture. I didn't get a very good one, but It said, no, it's timestamped because I did it in 1987.
I was born
So
in '87, y'all.
in 1987, a wrestler by the name of Scott Steiner was the first person to execute a 450 splash off the top rope.
Dude, really?
Yes. I was like, well, it's either the 450 or the shooting star. And I want to say it's the 450 because it was frontwards. But the way he done it, it was kind of funny because he done the flip, landed on his feet, and then kind of laid over the guy. And they asked him, right? They asked him, they said in the interview, they were like, why did you do it like that instead of just landing flat on the guy and everything? He said, man, it was a different business back then. He said, you hurt one of the top guys and you wasn't working no more. He said, so I made sure I caught myself in the landing before I laid on that guy. But I thought that was pretty cool that, Scott Steiner is the first person that ever done a 450 splash off the top rope. I was like, that's kind of cool. So I got some more kind of historical trivia for everybody. And before I put it up here, I want to ask Josh to see if he knows who. Do you know who the very first King of the Ring was?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm not going to say it because we talked about this last night. I don't even remember the dude's name. But
what Macho was it? No.
Nope.
But I was way off.
It was well, I don't want to say 2
85.
years. Yeah, but it was 2 reigns before the Macho Man's.
I don't know. Like I said, who?
What if I told you it was the original Rock, Don the Rock Morocco?
What?
Yep. Very first King of the Ring, 1985. And there's a couple of names on here that I didn't know won the King of the Ring. Ted DiBiase, Tito Santana.
I knew Tito.
Yeah, I know Tito.
I did not know that Tito Santana was a King of the Ring winner.
Brad on Stone Cold, Triple H, Ken Shamrock, Billy Gunn.
See, the Ken Shamrock was the one that shocked me too.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about Ken Shamrock winning King of the Ring.
Oh, William Regal.
Yeah. I remember when William Regal won it because that was like his last little run before he kind of retired from in-ring competition. I just thought that was cool. I was like, what? Don Morocco? And plus, I didn't know the King of the Ring was around in 85.
Do they still do the King of the Ring or whatever? And
yeah,
still guarantee like
the last one. Well, the last one they did was Xavier Woods won.
Yeah.
And that was like 3 years ago.
Does it still guarantee a title shot though? Used to, it was like automatic.
No, it wasn't. Shot. No, he just went around acting like he was a king and then made this like weird ass crown and had a scepter and walked around like he was king. That was about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never knew that a few of these people won. I just thought it was pretty cool and everything. I was like, that's a crazy little fact. Now, have y'all seen? Okay, I'll throw it up here. I want to get y'all's opinions on this. What do y'all think about that belt?
Looks all right. AEW National Wrestling Championship.
So basically, it's going to be their version of the Intercontinental Championship or the U.S. title, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it.
Are we going to give it to whoever bleeds the most because it's so red?
Right.
Hey,
I like that.
Asking.
I like the design just because of the throwback to the World Television Championship and everything. I don't have a problem with this title. I like it. I think it's a good looking title. You know, I'd wear it.
What's it going to be called? Is it going to be? I mean,
the national wrestling champion.
Just the national wrestling. I don't know. The name sounds kind of corny and shit. National.
Yeah, the name is so generic.
Yeah, I think it's better.
I think the reason that they said the national champion was because they didn't want to have a U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion, or North American champion. Yeah, they didn't want to copycat off of WWE and everything. But
Yeah, but I still feel like they could have come up with a better name than the National
Yeah.
Wrestling Champs.
My whole
It
issue with that
sounds
is how
I
many
like the
other
look.
companies, I do too, but how many other companies have a US champion? You know what I'm saying? No other
Yeah,
company has an intercontinental champion because that name's been exclusive to WWE ever since. And I think they got the intercontinental name trademarked, but or copyrighted, however you want to split theirs. But I mean, I like the belt and everything. I think it's pretty belt and everything. I hope that, you know, they don't. I think AEW is going on belts. You know, they don't have a brand split. They don't have two companies like WWE. So I get why WWE has so many championships, but like, I don't think that a company that doesn't have two shows, well, three shows now, but I don't think they need 50 titles. You know what I'm saying? They're just bringing titles out of the woodworks just so people can be a champion. And I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it takes away the prestige of the champion. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
I feel
So,
you.
what about the fact that the WWE name has been used longer than the WWF name?
yeah, probably by now.
Yep.
That's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that.
Yep, because WWF was only after Vince bought it from his dad, and he knocked one of the F's or W's off, and just became the World Wrestling Federation instead of Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And then because of the World Wildlife Fund,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
I seen a picture the other day that showed it had WWF, which was World Wildlife Fund emblem and everything, and then
Yeah.
it had a panda sitting there. But then there was another panda like getting ready to hit it across the back with a steel chair, and it said the real
Kendo sticks would be
WWF.
better.
I have that
That'd be
T-shirt.
so freaking funny.
Huh?
I have that shirt.
Do you for
You
real?
have a T-shirt?
I swear I have that shirt with a panda. It's two pandas and stuff, and one has a chair and it says
Yeah,
WWF on it. Yeah,
that's great.
That's
I've had that for a year.
amazing.
You
I've
gonna have
had
to
that for
wear
a
it.
year.
You gonna have to wear it on the show one time, man.
All right, yeah. It's so
I
funny you
want
said
that
that
shirt.
too. Yeah,
We'll
That
do
is
it in protest.
hilarious.
That's just great. Let's see. I'm gonna try to get through all these little ones that I had. Somebody that doesn't get recognition too much, and I didn't realize he had done so much because I'd only been exposed to him in the WWF. But he witnessed Bruiser Brody's murder, survived backstage warfare with the Clique, and was the first to hand Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock their first singles losses. Savio Vega. What do y'all think about Savio Vega? Well, Vipers, do you even remember Savio Vega?
Okay, so I didn't ever watch him wrestle, but I do know a lot about it, actually, which is wild. But because I just the whole story with Bruiser Brody and everything, I was just really invested in it for a little bit. I believe him. I believe everything that he says about that whole situation. I'm just gonna say, I think that they should have interviewed him more. I think that they should have took what he said into consideration because he was right there.
Yep, him, Tony Atlas. There was a ton of them that were sitting
I think
right
he's
there.
one of the more honest people that have ever in that entire situation, and I think that they should have questioning more. I don't know.
I think the reason that they didn't like question him more was because of the fact that he had to go back to Puerto Rico and live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I'm telling you, right. Because, I mean, even Tony Atlas was talking about how after it happened, he didn't go back to his hotel room because him and Bruiser were good friends and everything. He was
scared.
Yeah, he stayed on the streets all night long until his flight the next day so he could get out of Puerto Rico. He's like, I wasn't giving him a chance to come to my hotel room, get me or nothing.
Hell no.
He said, I witnessed that. I don't blame him. I would have, you know. But, yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Savio Vega because
Yes,
It's not
please
somebody
do.
I think about a lot, but I don't remember ever watching a match that was bad with him.
Yeah, he was always
He
a good.
deserves his flowers.
I do remember watching, I want to say it was a cage match, but I remember watching him shoot somebody off the ropes, and they reversed the Irish whip. And when he came off the ropes or something, his ankle got caught on the mat and pow, snapped.
Ooh,
And
shit.
yeah, I was like, oh crap, I had never seen it. I remembered watching the match, but I had never seen the injury happen. So I guess he just rolled out and was like, hey, I'm done. You know, ain't no coming back from this right now. So let's see what else I got here. And I'm trying to reference my phone too, so I can see which one. I think we're getting into the more serious stuff and everything. So talking about TKO and their price hikes and everything, have y'all seen this picture that circulated around about the fan that says our last
You know, they also
WWE show?
took that from them.
Yes, I was getting ready to say that. It
No, what
says
did it say?
it says last WWE show, thanks TKO. And they held it up while Drew McIntyre was coming out and everything. And next thing you know, WWE officials went and got the fan.
It was like
fan
5,
sign
maybe
and took
10
it from
minutes
them.
after the fact.
Yeah,
It made
So-
made him leave, or just took the sign.
just took the sign.
Just took the sign.
I'm like,
Now, I'm sure if they would have been hostile, they would have made them leave, but they took the sign. Like, and I don't know what is going on with WWE lately, but they're censoring their stuff way too much.
because they're ass
Like,
hat.
they're
Because
they
asking.
Because they don't like people knowing the truth and shit. That, like I said, that they really are chasing.
They don't like people
fucking away.
speaking the truth.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. They're not worried about everyday fans. They're just doing things that they want to do, and to hell with what everybody else thinks. Like Vince Russo came out the other day and said in his 50 years of watching wrestling, he thinks that Triple H is the worst booker ever.
He is now.
Right. I didn't want to say that, but you know, at the
I'm
end of the
saying it.
day, it's like last year before they did this Netflix deal, I think Triple H was doing a great job. I don't know what
Yes.
happened with this Netflix deal that made them, you know, stop and do all this stuff. Just like I heard a fan say, if Raw has no specific running time, then why are we cutting the show off at the end?
In the
Yeah.
middle of a freaking brawl that we have
Yeah.
to go online later and see the rest of it when we could have seen it on a show that we
And
already paid for.
I get what they're doing. They're trying to do
I
that
don't.
old, well, during the Monday Night Wars, they're trying to do
Mhm.
that old, you know, cliffhanger, you know, so that people will tune in next week to see what happens. But it doesn't work anymore like that because there's too many people with cell phones. And by the
We're in the
time,
age of the internet.
yes, so okay, cut it off,
Cell
you know, 5 minutes before everything ends. We're still going to see it 30 seconds later because somebody's going to post it, you know, 30 seconds after the show goes off the air, you know, and everything settles down. Somebody's got it uploaded onto their Facebook or whatever. So it's not like
And
we're not-
everybody and their mother has shared it, so everybody has seen it. So it's
That's
not
it.
like we're not going to know later on. So
The t-
freaking annoying.
the typical cliffhanger that worked back in, like I said, during the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars and stuff, that kind of a cliffhanger doesn't work in wrestling anymore. It's not going to work in wrestling anymore because of the fact that there's too much social media, there's too much technology in everybody's hands, and it's just going to get out there, like I said, 30 seconds after the show goes off. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's dumb the way they're doing some of this stuff, but whatever.
I
It's
agree.
their company. They can beat it to death and run it in the ground. if
Drive
they
it into
want
the
to.
ground if they want to.
I have a prediction that I don't think it's going to be much longer before TKO says this is an experiment we don't want to do anymore. They're going to sell off. But what scares me about that is they're going to end up selling to the Saudis. Nothing against the Saudis or anything like that. Don't come at me. But like we've discussed before, the Saudis want to see the people that they've never got to see before. And
Mhm.
we've seen, Stone Cold, and we've seen all those people. We're ready for the new generation. They're
Mhm.
still wanting the Attitude Era generation to come back and take huge paydays and,
Yeah.
do one more match. And
As if they're
it's,
not 30 years older.
if the Saudis are going to do that, here's my opinion. If you're going to do that, just make it like the NBA used to do at All-Star break, have an old timers game.
I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see a ton of
He said,
old
I
ass
don't want
people
to see
rush.
that shit. I don't either.
I mean, I don't want
wanna
to see it
a whole bunch
either.
of old ass wrestlers jump in the ring and
I don't
beat
wanna
But
each
see
that's
it
other
what
either.
Saudi
down.
Arabia's going to do.
Right. And I don't
That's
want
what
to
they're
see it
going to
either.
do.
But at the end of the day, if you're going to do it, then do the whole damn pay-per-view as a bunch of old timers. And then I've got the option of whether or not I want to watch the damn thing or not. I don't want to watch
I kind of
WrestleMania
agree
and
with
have
that.
I have to get
I'd
up
be
and
okay.
If you have to choose, if you
Right.
have to have the old people come back, just put them all in a PLE
let
and
them
let them
beat
put
each
each
other
other
with,
in the grave. It's fine, and
let
we'll
them
watch the next E. PLE.
get their walkers out, and instead of chair shots, we'll have walker shots, and whatever else, they can fight over the dialysis machine or whatever. And I just
People.
right, I'm just done with it. It's
Ain't
just
ain't TKO owned by the Saudis already anyway? I mean, like, ain't TK their company and shit?
I don't
I'm not
think
sure,
so.
actually.
Hold on.
I'm sure they have a hand in it somewhere.
Well, there's got to be something going on because they just promote too much shit over there with the host.
Do the
Riyadh
Saudis
Saudi.
own any part of TKO?
You should say Saudi Arabia, not Saudi.
No, the Saudis don't
No.
own TKO. However, they have a major partnership with TKO to fund and launch a new global boxing promotion. TKO will manage.
So
the
see,
operation,
they're already
but
trying to
Abdul
launch a new
Malik,
boxing
TKO
promotion. If I could
executive,
shut this
with the
phone up
Saudis
now.
providing investment through their
But it just,
She said
so
no, you're not
they're
listening.
invested, even though they don't own it, they're invested. So
Yeah.
because they're invested, TKO and all its subsidized companies, UFC and WWE, are gonna get major money to bring their product over there. So it's whether they own it directly or not, they're still influencing it to a point to where
Well,
And
you
you
have
have
a
to make
lot
your
of money.
influencers happy
right.
or your
And
investors happy. Sorry.
But it's not. I just don't see it working because eventually,
Oh, no.
like if shit happens, like we say, and the Saudis take over and stuff, what they want to see and what I think America wants to see is not the same thing.
Absolutely.
I think that you will lose a big chunk of your audience if you bring back a ton of these old guys and don't keep promoting the new guys. And some of their, standards and practices are not the same with America. America's not going to be okay with all these fully clothed people and shit. They want to see like some
They want to
skin.
see skin. They want to see the bodies. That's just the way that it
So
is.
if they did buy it out or take it over, then that would definitely be a culture clash, I would say. And also,
Oh,
I thought you were going to say that maybe Vince or another group or somebody would pick up the WWE and then run it or some shit, not
maybe.
be bought out by the Saudis, which I don't,
it wouldn't
just not good for business for me.
Wouldn't
it wouldn't
surprise me.
surprise me to see Vince try to get it back. Now, I don't think he could match the money that the Saudis, there's no
Well,
way
of
he could
course
match
not,
the
no.
money. So, I mean, eventually, I think it's going to buckle
kingdom,
down
man.
to the Saudis will get it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Vince try to get it back but then again, does Vince see, that's the thing with Vince being gone so long, we don't really know where his head is. You know what I'm saying? Is he enjoying retirement? Doesn't want to deal with, the hustle and bustle of the day-to-day stuff anymore, which, knowing Vince McMahon and the workaholic he was, sleeping like 2 hours a day and stuff and everything. I doubt that he wouldn't want to get it back, but
Yeah.
do we want Vince to buy it back and then, God forbid, I don't wish death on anybody, but except for, certain groups of people, and that's a
Well,
different
he's 100
story.
years old, ain't he?
That hurt, if you hurt kids, I wish death on you, but I don't wish death on anybody else. But, as far as Vince, I don't want to see him buy it back. And then 5 years later, him pass away. And then we're right back to the same situation where Triple H is running it again and, trying
The
to
same.
invest with other streaming companies. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't want it to become a vicious, stupid circle.
Do you think that that's more of the corporate influence, or do you think this is more all of Triple H's doing when it comes to the content creation and shit, or creative part, or do you think Netflix and TKO have a saying in what they're putting out? Like maybe he wants to put out one thing, and they're like, no. Like we think that this is better for the company, or this will sell more T-shirts or whatever the fuck.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've got a story for that later. But so I'm going to hold the thought on that for just a few minutes and everything, because that plays into another news headline I've got. So before we get to that, I wanted to hit on this real quick and see what you all thought about this, and then we'll go back to that. What do you all think about Ric Flair saying that it was street drugs that killed Hulk Hogan?
Oh,
Because
I've
of the
heard
fact
that,
that he
but
couldn't, that he's saying that the hospital basically cut him off from his pain meds and stuff like that after his surgery. And he was in excruciating pain at that point. And Ric
don't
Flair
know
is
that part.
saying that he was going to the streets for street drugs for pain. I don't know
Then
that I
that's his
fully,
fault.
well, but I don't know that I fully believe that either. His wife came out and refuted his widow came out and refuted that and said, no, he wasn't doing, street drugs or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't see somebody like a Hulk Hogan with the stature that he had as far as like star power and stuff like that. I don't see any doctor saying, no, I'm not going to treat you because of the fact that, this, that, or the other. They're going to try to, help a Hulk Hogan, manage his pain, because that's a lot of money to come
That's
into
true.
your practice.
when you say street drugs, are we talking about
That was my question.
like prescription pills, or are we talking about like heroin and crystal meth or some shit? Because to me, there's a big difference.
Because you can
Right.
get anything at a hospital, you can get on the street.
Yeah,
So when you say street drugs,
yeah.
It
So
says what killed him was street drugs. This is the quote from Ric Flair. What killed him was street drugs. When the doctor wouldn't prescribe anymore, he was in so much pain. Imagine 10 back surgeries, 2 knees, 2 hips, and all this. And then he had a neck surgery that got infected. So they went and got the drugs off the street. His body just said, you know what? Bingo. I can't do it anymore.
nope, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I'm sorry. If you have an infection, pain is a completely different thing, because women can have babies every day and don't even get pain medicine for it.
Right. I mean,
But
Tylenol.
if you have an infection, yeah, you barely even get Tylenol. So, like, if you have an infection, they're going to give you some kind of antibiotics for that. So
Right.
I don't necessarily believe that.
I don't
they're
think
just going to 100% stop all of your medication. I don't believe that at all.
I don't
But
think
what-
the I don't think the antibiotics were stopped. I think it
Yeah.
was the painkillers and stuff
yeah,
like that.
was he getting addicted? Because it almost seems like there's a history where he's had so many surgeries, so many, so much damage to his body that maybe he did get used to the pain. I mean, you got to figure he's had to take a lot of pain medication, during his life just to do certain things and shit. So did he have a problem with it? And they kind of be like, look, we got to cut you off for
You need to calm
liability
down.
reasons. And he was like, fuck it. I know a guy on the street. I can get, some Oxycontins or some perks or some shit to help with the pain. It turns out, because a lot of times now, like you don't always get what you think you're getting. You
Right.
might think you're getting one thing and you end up getting some fentanyl or some shit by mistake.
And
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So
I just
I don't know
I'm
if I
necessarily
believe it or
believe it.
not,
I
but it's possible.
like 50-50.
it's definitely a possibility and shit. But I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say, and I don't want to
It's
tarnish
hard to
this
say
as a
without an
drug lord or
autopsy.
yeah.
And I think the only people that really know anything about an autopsy right now, I don't think his autopsy records or anything was sealed or anything. I just don't think. I
I don't
mean,
think they did one.
at the end of the day, they're going to say he died of like a heart attack or something like that, because I
Yeah.
think that's what it ended up doing. So, I mean, the autopsy, unless they done a toxicology, and I don't know if
They
that's
do on
public.
all autopsies.
I don't think it's on all. I think you have to, the family has to order toxicology, because I don't think that they just automatically do it. Because they won't even some states won't automatically do an autopsy without the family's consent. And I do know that for a fact, because
If there's
Kentucky,
questions about the death, they do.
right. But
And
it
if
has to
it's
be,
like,
but if it has to be like suspicious things around the death. So,
Circumstances.
right. So
medical
if they,
malpractice isn't suspicious,
but there's no actual proof of any kind of medical malpractice other than the neck surgery itself. So
that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying.
Like I said, I don't know. I don't know all the details. I don't want to
Yeah.
say that this holds any water. Maybe it was just Ric Flair speaking, because, he's, I guess, just missing his friend, because I mean, for all the whole, my life, it was Flair and Hogan hate each other. Flair and Hogan hate each other. But at the end of the day, they were really good friends behind the scenes. And like when Ric Flair was in the hospital dying and stuff, he said that Hulk Hogan was the first person there, and Hulk Hogan helped pay some of his medical expenses and everything. And, told him, hey, you're going to get through this, you got to, blah, blah, blah. He was the first person there when he woke up and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think it's more Ric Flair doesn't really know what happened. And so he's kind of just shooting from the hip to see what, maybe he was just trying to stir something up so that way, if there was something, somebody would slip up and say something or do something. I don't know. I don't hold a lot of water to it, because I don't see Hulk Hogan being, again, for all his faults, I don't see him being the type of person that's going to resort to street drugs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not, he just, as far as a wrestler, he didn't fall into that category, if that makes sense.
I'll put it like this, because I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I would hope not, and I don't think so. But at the same time, we didn't think he would say a lot of things and do a lot of things that he actually did do.
This
So
is true.
we got to take it with kind of a grain of salt. So I would hope not, but I think that the possibility is always there.
Oh yeah.
The child in me obviously doesn't want to think anything negative of Hulk Hogan. The adult of me knows a little bit better, so I'll just take it like that.
And that's me. I don't want to believe it, but at the end of the day, everybody's human. And
Yeah,
we don't know the pain he was going through and what he may have done to try to alleviate that pain. So. I mean, at the end of the day, I just think it's, we're months away from his death. I want to remember Hulk Hogan as the real American, the immortal Hulk Hogan. I don't want to, sit and remember all the stuff that Terry Boyd said, what wasn't right.
exactly.
Do I think that necessarily he believed that stuff in his heart? I don't think so. I think he was just caught saying some stupid shit on camera that he shouldn't have said, maybe trying to impress a girl or something. I don't know. Doesn't make it right. But at the end of the day, now that he's gone, let's just remember him for what he did in the ring, and, try to do the other stuff we can. I know that's hard. We don't do that with everybody, but everybody in situations like that, I do believe people can be educated and redeem themselves, to a better understanding of people and life. And I hope that's what happened before he passed away. But I just think it's time to stop speculating and just, let the man rest. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
But now we're going to get into some stuff that I know is going to kind of touch a chord with Mr. Slam here, because man, he's going off again, and I don't know.
Going off the rails, son.
I feel like you just look for stuff like Bret Hart every week.
Oh no, I get something every day about Bret Hart.
Yes,
I'm gonna tell you, I get a notification about Bret Hart every
y'all
day.
just look for more shit. I'm like, damn.
I think, hey, if stuff
I
is
don't
popping
report
up,
on it. He does.
I report everything. I'm going to report everything that I see.
Let me hear this, since you always want to throw Mr.
So,
Hart on here.
Bret Hart came out and said that Jake the Snake and Hulk Hogan
I did hear that one.
were nothing but pieces of shit because of the fact that they never got anybody or pushed anybody or got anybody over. And, he's just burying people.
Well, unless you're a Hart, everybody's a piece of shit.
Yes.
So
that's it.
But is he telling the truth? Like, is he being honest?
True that too.
I mean, that's the question, because we know how Hulk Hogan was, like, no offense going what we were just saying, of course it's a no for me, brother. And, and him not wanting to get, let people over or work with certain people because he didn't want his, because he had to know, he had creative control and shit. So saying bad shit about Hogan. Now, the Jake the Snake, I'm a little surprised of, because I haven't heard a ton of bad shit. I know Jake the Snake definitely had a fucked up life, so he's probably a little fucked up himself and shit. And later on, I think he got right. But
answer me this.
Yeah.
Why is it only Canadian wrestlers that he praises? Or, as the Viper says, the Hart family members?
How do you know that it's just Canadian
wrestlers?
Hold
on. Let me finish. Because
it's only Hart people too.
Hart, that's what I'm saying. The Hart family and their lineage, British Bulldog, all them.
Yeah.
In this article, he buried Jake the Snake and Hulk Hogan, but he praised Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Okay, so
Rowdy Piper's a Canadian wrestler that was trained in the Hart dungeon. Okay. Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Praised him. Yeah. Canadian wrestler that was trained in the Hart dungeon.
But you're saying all great wrestlers right there. So you're telling, like, Chris Jericho, multi-world champion and shit. Kind of hard to hate on that. Shit,
it is.
Not the.
Why is it that only Canadian wrestlers?
Chris Jericho and shit. No, now I've heard him praise other people and shit too and stuff, like I said. But I don't think it's just Canadian. I mean, like when he was on the Broken Skull Ranch with Stone Cold and shit, when they were talking about their match, about how clean it was, about how great it was, about and he gave
maybe he's
Stone
scared
Cold
of him.
No, he ain't scared of Stone Cold.
It's just a joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was just a joke.
No, you're fine and shit, but it's just like like certain people, like it's just hard to it's easy to give their flowers to and shit. And I'm not even a big Chris Jericho fan and shit, and I at least know how good he is and shit. I don't know, like I said, I don't see the whole is he just likes Canadian. Now it kind of feels like the one guy from like NXT or whatever, who's the big Canadian right now. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Ethan Page.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah.
I love Ethan Page.
Has he championed him yet? Have you heard him being like, oh, well, he's a Canadian? Oh.
Well, no, but there's a reason why. And I'll get to that here in just a second, because I got a bunch of these articles. So, to play into
here's
what
my
you were
thing
saying
about it. Well, ahead, I was going to say, my thing about it is, like, I'm just sick of all these old-ass men, and they're all men. They're not women, by the way. Men that have wrestled way back when that come now and are bitching about shit that happened way back when. Like, you couldn't bitch about it back then. Why are you bringing it up now? Just because or are you just wanting to be relevant for a few minutes because your ego hasn't been stroked for a while?
I think a lot of it has to do with social media. Like before, back in the day, like you didn't have social media to vent and go to and talk to. Nowadays, there's a million podcasts, there's a million TV channels and outlets that are constantly saying, "Hey man, can I get an interview? Hey, what was it like back then? Hey, what was it like when you and so did this?" Or so like the opportunity to talk about that. and the hunger. Like a lot of older wrestler fans want to know what it was like back then, behind the scenes and when it went on, like behind the curtain and stuff. So that's why
Right.
I think they're bringing more of that shit out because they're just feeding a need. Just
And
like,
here's it. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I can
Oh, I
understand.
thought you were done. Uh, Here's another thing too. Another aspect to look at with that too is back then, one, he was still in the business. So if you go out there trashing the business, then you're not going to be working.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little bit of protecting their own image so that they could still get a paycheck. And I think that had a lot to do with it as well. But to play into that, to what we were talking about, Bret Hart isn't a fan of Ric Flair's stupid uppercut low blow. I know Ric Flair likes to do that ball shot where he hits the guys between the legs and all that. Just so you know, I'm not sure most people know, you're never going to win a fight doing that. It's just such a lame move. I never ever understood why on your knees doing this uppercut is supposed to hurt. Stupid move, but for some reason, wrestling fans buy it all the time. Now,
I
in
can't stand
saying
it.
that, I can think at least of 2 or 3 times when I've watched Ric Flair, or not Ric Flair, but Bret Hart when he was bad guy, doing the whole, they're grabbing me from behind and I throw the leg backwards and hit them in the
Yeah.
nuts. What's the difference? You see what I'm
Uh,
Because
saying?
he's
He
not
did
getting
it
on
in
his
his
knees.
matches. That's and honestly and truthfully, I think that's what it is. I hate to say it because for all my disdain for Bret Hart, just not as a fan. At the
uh,
end of the day, I will acknowledge that he's one of the best that's ever done it. Why the need to keep going after people all the time? I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. I'm to the
Feel better
point to
about
where
yourself.
that's it. Like even as far as the product nowadays,
And it's not
this
just
is
Bret Hart, it's all the other ones that are doing it too at this point. Like Ric Flair, he's saying things all the time. I can't even think of other people right now, but it's not even just Bret Hart. It's a lot of them now. They all want to just talk shit about each other just because they want to feel better about themselves for a few
but here's another quote from Bret Hart.
minutes.
I'll be honest, I have a hard time watching today's wrestling. I just can't really watch it. It's too fake for me. But I love watching the old pro wrestling, like when I watched my matches back or almost any match, even obscure, let's see, I can't really see it, obscure Stampede wrestling matches. Oh, Canadian wrestling, the wrestling your dad owned. Um, there's something about the realism, the punches, the kicks, and even just the way the presentation is. It just seems to me to be more honest, put in the workmanship of learning the craft of being wrestlers. Like,
Okay, how many people from that day are either dead, on drugs, or freaking crazy?
I'm just saying, he's,
I'm just saying.
how many times have you sat and heard an interview of Bret Hart and all he does is, I'm praising myself of how good I was. I'm praising myself of how real my punches
He
look
needs to
compared
feel
to
he's not
everybody
feeling good
else.
about himself.
I think the man's got brain
He needs to
damage.
talk to a therapist.
I think that I don't know what new feed or what y'all be watching, but my shit don't come in like that. I think that like
I
anytime
Your
see some on
algorithm,
Facebook, yo.
I think my algorithm is definitely different from y'all's because y'all
your
just
algorithm's got big hearts around Bret Hart's name.
because all y'all see is negativity and
I see
darkness
negativity about everybody. That's
and
my problem.
like Brett complaining and bitching and moaning. Well, it goes back to anything. Bad news is going to sell. If Bret Hart says something good about somebody, nobody's going to give a shit. But if Bret Hart says, "Oh, I don't like Goldberg," or I don't like Stone Cold, then it's trending and shit. Bad news sells. That's just how it is in the world we live in. And
You're right.
And what's the difference between him criticizing wrestling now and us criticizing? Because aren't we sitting here saying that we don't like the product? We haven't enjoyed it recently because of the
Certain
storylines.
product, not all of it in its entirety.
Exactly. And that's the same thing he's doing. And that's just like any professional athlete from back in the day. The old school is always going to pick their product, whether you're in the NBA, NFL, pro wrestling.
Music.
I'm pretty sure, or music, or anything. Like old musicians are going to talk about how great their shit was and how terrible shit is now. With basketball, they're talking about how great Michael Jordan is and how crappy LeBron is now. With the fucking,
which is
like,
true.
Back and forth. So the old school is always going to compare themselves to the new school. That's just how it is. Everybody's always going to be like my generation, or the new school is terrible and shit. And he's got the right to criticize because he worked in the industry. Like, I don't see him any difference between him and any other analyst in any other sport that played that position or was in that sport. They have a right to say, hey, the product's good, the product's bad. So and so didn't give enough effort and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's like a prime example. And of course, y'all don't watch a lot of football, but who was it?
I have been.
Receiver for the Cowboys. What's his name? Was given half-ass effort. Richard Sherman called him out.
Yeah.
Told him, like, look, man, like, you're not even going. You're not running hard. You're not giving 100% every play. And the player, he turned back like, oh, shut the fuck up, man. You ain't no reason to talk. Oh, you should be quiet. No, you got to reach the reason to speak. I played the position. I know what I'm talking about and stuff. Like if it's not up to standards and stuff.
Right. And I agree with that totally, 100%. But my issue is in all his interviews here lately, when he's putting things over, he's only putting himself, like his family. And again, just like in that statement, I like Stampede Wrestling. Man, Stampede Wrestling ain't been around for 40 some odd years.
Exactly, but that's his opinion. That's just like you saying, like you like Crockett Wrestling and shit. Like you go back and watch old matches. You still watch Ring of Honor and shit. Not a lot of people watch that, or Smoky Mountains, or watching Ole Anderson or Ric Flairs or Tully Blanchard and shit. That's your perspective, though. Everybody's got a right to like what they like. Now, I just feel like a lot of people just enjoy to hear the negative Bret Hart than they do the good Bret Hart. Because, like I said, my algorithm shows, Mark Henry talking about how big an influence Bret Hart was on him. And, Stone Cold talks about how great, Bret in them matches was and shit, and how thing. Now, and I also understand that also where he had the falling out with the Montreal Screwjob, there's always going to be that dark cloud that follows him as like him and W have beef and shit, they have issues and shit, which some of it is still true and some of it's not. Vince ain't around and it's a totally different organization, but he also didn't get along with Triple H either and shit. And you wonder why. Was Team Vince McMahon. He married into the family. Of course, they're probably not going to click all the way and shit. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I just don't see the Bret y'all see. Like I said, it could be because I'm biased. I'm a Bret Hart fan and shit. My algorithm doesn't work the same way as y'all's does or whatever. But like I said, I think a lot of it is just a product of the environment that we're in right now. Like I said, social media is a lot bigger now. So bad news is what sells.
More it does.
Good.
Negativity.
And people are asking for that old shit, they're wanting old stories or whatever it is and stuff. But like I said, and I think he has the right to criticize just like we do. Like I said, I've been watching wrestling for a long ass time. I think I have the right to be like, hey, I know what good wrestling is and I know what bad wrestling is and shit. And this compared to the Attitude Era or this compared to, the 80s, it's not what I'm used to. It's not the same standard. Or, the storyline thing is good. But like I said, that's just me.
I just think my biggest issue with it is, he was willing to take the money to come back and bury the hatchet with the WWE. What was about 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But now that he's not getting the money anymore, I don't know if he's on contract anymore or not. I'd say not, the way he's talking about, Triple H and stuff and everything like that and everything. But like I said, I don't know. I think it leaves a bad taste when you came back and supposedly buried the hatchet, but then 10 years later, you're going out there and trying to bury them again.
I think that's my problem, is because like there was a legitimate point in time where they buried the hatchet over the Montreal Screwjob. Like he legitimately had an extra match. He had a whole WrestleMania thing.
Him and Sean
The whole damn
hugged.
thing they hugged in the middle of the ring. It was a whole big ordeal. And then now you're going to come back years later and then bitch about it. I thought you all, like, what are
Right.
we harboring on if you were supposed to get over it in that moment?
I think
And
if it was buried then, it should be buried now.
If you didn't want to bury it then, why did you do it on national TV or on,
Money
you know,
talks.
PLE?
Now, is this bitching or is this people just asking him about the screw job and him giving his opinion, and then they taking that
I think it's the
clip
way he says it.
and like maybe either just you don't see it in full context or it's just clickbait and Brett said this and that and they just show a piece of it that makes it look like it's something that it's not. See,
I think it's the way he says things, not necessarily that it's bad. I think there's a way you can come about things. There's a way that you can say things without it demeaning other people or another company, especially if you have already buried the hatchet.
Well, see, and it's and like you were saying, is the clickbait and stuff like that. I know you've seen the English guy that has like wrestlers and stuff on the stage. He's had like Mick Foley and I think William Regal and Sergeant Slaughter and people like that and everything on the just like it's like a tour that they do or whatever. The question was posed to Bret Hart in one of his interviews, and it was like a good 10-minute clip. And the guy asked him, he was like, who would you want to work with from today? And who do you, or not even from today, but from, I think he said like the past 25 years or something that, you would want to work with that's new or that you didn't get to work with, back when you were still active, that you would have, thought you could had a good match with. His first thing, instead of saying who he thought he could work with, his first thing was, well, I couldn't have worked with Triple H because I never seen him do anything that was any good.
See, why would you just immediately just dog
and that's
somebody?
my thing. I think
is that the first thing that came out of his mouth? Because that seems to be an odd way to answer a question. Like if like,
it was the first thing that came out.
Are you sure that the presenter would be like, well, what about Triple H or what about so-and-so?
No,
or blah,
nobody
blah.
mentioned, the presenter didn't mention any names. He just asked in general, who do you think that back in the day you could have worked with that you never really got to work with and could have done good with, or who today? And his first response was, well, I know I couldn't have done anything with Triple H because I never saw him do anything that was worthwhile or worth mentioning and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
I would have to see the video to know the context.
I'll try to find it and send it to you.
Because that just seems kind of like a random thing to be like, to start an answer to be like, well, it wouldn't be Triple H. Like,
and that's that's what kind of shocked me about it. It was like, man, I was like, instead of just saying, hey, I think I could have worked good with, because I'll be honest with you, I think that they could have had some great matches. But instead of saying somebody like a Kurt Angle or something like that, you know what I'm saying? I don't.
Because I've seen him say before, like if somebody he wanted to work with was like CM Punk, because he sees a lot of of CM Punk's matches, and that he sees a lot of himself in like CM Punk. So like he would,
or even John Cena, because he's supposedly the best of all time. Like you could have said anybody.
I don't agree about the John Cena being the best of all time. Like
I don't either. I was just saying.
They're pushing that narrative, but I definitely don't agree.
That's WWE's narrative, because
not ours.
All his championships are WWE championships, and that's why I think that they've kind of pushed Ric Flair out the door as far as being the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, because only 2 of his reigns were WWF reigns or WWE reigns, and the rest of them.
I feel like Ric Flair is more of the best because he's had more championships outside of WWE besides WWE.
And he was a world champion, literally. He went around the world. Not that Brett didn't go around the world and wrestle, but he wrestled under the banner of WWF. not the banner of just, I'm going to go to the Puerto Rico territory and drop the NWA championship for a few days, and like, what is it, like his actual title reign, if they recognized all of them because of the win, because he would go to Puerto Rico, lose it for a week and then get it back. And they just didn't recognize that, championship loss or, the regaining of the championship. But it's like 21, 24 time world champion. That to me, I don't know. I think that's why they're pushing that narrative on about what's his face and everything. But just one last thing about Bret Hart and everything. No. The reason I brought this up is because of where Bret always, is complimenting himself about how safe of a worker he was. There's a jobber.
Didn't he hurt somebody?
This is it. So there was a jobber named Tom. It was an old school way of saying enhancement talent by saying jobber. Yeah. But he said Bret was an ass, in my opinion. Bret talks about not hurting people. Bullshit. He pile drove me and almost broke my neck. He portrays himself like this guy who was real careful. I don't think he was. And I'm not saying that I can't, I'm not going to put.
It might be one freak accident, but I have heard about that.
Right. And I'm not saying that Bret Hart was a dangerous wrestler because, I don't remember, anybody getting seriously injured in the ring while watching a Bret Hart match. But it does play into the fact that, again, I think, I got to thinking about this, and I wonder if, we were talking about Bret Hart being bitter, and, I think he's got, some extra damage and stuff from the strokes to his brain and stuff. And it's just like cut off, like empathy and stuff like that, in his emotions and stuff, because
I don't think that's the way strokes work, but go ahead.
No, it does. It affects your brain to where, if you want the type
your
of
brain, but I don't think that it's cut off his emotion like he's heartless now.
Cut off his emotion. The way you said that, cut off his emotion.
I'm not saying heartless, but I'm saying like he doesn't. I don't know. I don't think that I think he's suffered some brain damage to the point of it's just cut off his, I guess, filter, his empathy a little bit, to other people and stuff. I don't want to say common sense, because I don't think he's mentally incapable. I just think that there has been damage to his brain from the things that he suffered, which is horrible. I hate that anybody, my ex-father-in-law had a stroke, and I remember watching who he was before the stroke and who he was after the stroke. Before the stroke, I don't think I ever seen that man shed tears twice in the 20-something years that I knew him. But after the stroke, he would cry at the drop of a hat, and, maybe it's a little, reflecting on, hey, I wish I could have done things different, whatever. But I wonder if some of it is not bitterness at the fact too, and maybe he doesn't want to be involved in it. I don't know, but maybe it's a little bitterness that he's not actually working for any companies right now. And even though he still loves the business and can't get into the ring anymore, is it, just bitterness that I'm just not involved anymore? You know what I'm saying? I maybe he feels like that, and being devil's advocate, and kind of, I guess, champion for Bret Hart a little bit, maybe he feels a little bit thrown to the side. You know what I'm saying? And just, like that the companies that are out today, yes, AEW brought him out to present the first AEW world champion and stuff like that. But it's like nobody really does anything with Bret Hart anymore. You know what I mean? And maybe he just feels a little pushed aside when you see people like Ric Flair, who after all his stuff, they're still bringing him out and doing special appearances with, Hulk Hogan and stuff. They're bringing him out doing special appearances and stuff like that. I wonder sometimes if it's not just, guys, I was a part of that too, and
I just don't see one, honestly, him really too worried about it because like I don't see, like I said, I think there would be plenty of promotions that if Bret Hart was like, "Hey man, let me work for your company," or "Hey, let me come, do creative or be a part of it or own some of it," wouldn't jump at the chance and shit. Now, like little buddy that's saying he ain't safe. He's entitled to his own opinion. Like maybe they had a bad match. Maybe he did get hurt by him.
Freak
Um,
accident.
I
Right.
think
Accidents happen.
accidents happen. I think, but if you look at the whole total of Brett's
His
career, I
entirety.
think most,
He was
yeah, like most people would say that he's a safe worker and that he does a good job.
And as much
Uh,
as I hate to say it, I'm one of them. I agree
yeah.
with that.
Um, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion and stuff when it comes to that. I don't know. Like I said, I just don't see the villain that y'all see or whatever.
Oh, I
Uh,
don't think he's a villain. I just think he's
I,
bitter.
I th- like I said, I think that people ask him questions sometimes, and he
But
gives
he's
them
not
an
the only one.
answer, and it might be the question, it might be a loaded question, that they're trying to, like get a response, or they're trying to get something negative. It's not always what you
You
say,
make
but how you
money off
say it,
that.
and and there is a lot of clickbait out there. So you, like I said, I mean, I'm just
I do it
more.
myself.
I'm probably like a little more skeptical when it comes to when I hear stuff about
I do it myself.
Bret Hart and shit. Maybe
Like
I don't know. Like I said, I just don't see the bitterness because the man's got money. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I mean, he could have his own school, like if he still doesn't have one and shit, or take over his dad or whatever. So I don't see that being an issue. Um, and I think he made plenty of money. So like I said, like I don't think he tricked his money away. I just think sometimes gossip or bad news sells better and it travels
It
faster.
really does.
I
Like if
would
you
I
know, if
would
I, s-
love to see, and as much of a, I'm Sean Mike, Team Sean all the way.
yeah,
But I to me, I would love to see people like Bret Hart coming out as the next generation of managers. You know what I'm saying? Like there is nothing to be lost by having Bret Hart managing a young tag team. You know what I'm saying? And coming out with them, and giving them his guidance and putting him on TV that way and stuff and everything. To me, that's just going to help sell tickets. To the fact that
Can't do it if you're
again,
talking
like
shit.
right, and like we've said, I don't want to see Bret Hart, especially after the
wrestle,
strokes and stuff, wrestling and stuff.
yeah.
But you know, going over to a managerial role and stuff like that, I think that would
Or
be
a
great.
trainer role.
Yes, I would love. Yes, why not try to be like a trainer at the
Well,
performance center? No,
I can
no,
see
he
a
If you
can't.
think
trainer,
it's
yeah,
that bad at wrestling, why don't you get involved and make it better?
yeah,
Well, yeah, right. If that's the
that I
case,
can
if you
see,
think
yeah,
these punches are shit and the kicks and stuff like that
Teach
and
them how
all
to
that
do
stuff,
it.
you can't get it because
yeah,
because of his insurance and stuff like that, he can't get into the ring and roll around with anybody because he
yeah,
can't take any bumps or anything.
And get tips.
But just like Bubbles was telling us last night on the TikTok live,
Mhm.
Bobby Blaze, he doesn't do any of the rolling around stuff. That's Brock's. Bobby
Mhm.
Blaze will sit there and tell you about the psychology and stuff and what you need to do. And then
Mhm.
Brock's will get in the ring with you and show you what he means.
oh,
That's a
okay,
And
perfect
apply
role
it.
for
Yeah.
Bret Hart. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Bret could be sitting there teaching these kids, these young kids, to where he could watch this product instead of
Mhm.
putting it down all the time. I guess maybe that's my thing is instead of knocking it so much, get up and do something about it then.
see,
You
I
know
don't
what
have
I'm
an
saying?
issue with the whole knocking thing because I feel like he's just doing the same thing we are. I think he's just talking about what he sees.
Hey, if I could get in there and teach them something, I would.
you know, like if the product's good, then I'm going to say it's good. If it's not good, then I'm not going to say it's good. It's just like anything.
True.
Like I've enjoyed the last couple Raws, but before that they were garbage.
Yeah.
Like the 3 weeks or a month before were trash, but the last couple's been actually decent.
This
I
last
don't know if it's
trash.
because like Liv Morgan came back or because Dom beat John Cena or whatever you want to call it, or because we've had some, Brock pop up or whatever you want to call it and shit. But it's got a little more interesting and shit.
It has, and and that's the thing. Honestly and truthfully, I'm not trying to bust Bret Hart's balls or anything like that, because
Sure.
as much as I don't
Yeah,
like him,
sure.
well,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, but as much as I don't like him, he's an asset to the business. You know what I'm saying? The
I agree
man
with that.
is a walking
He does know what he's talking
encyclopedia
about sometimes.
of how to do things. You know what I'm saying? He
Mhm.
again, thinking back, just like with Ric Flair, with Sting, with a lot of other people, when you saw one match, you saw pretty much every match that they had. And I think it's the same thing with Bret Hart to an extent. But even though he did the same, routine kind of in the ring, it was believable. And because of the fact of the ring psychology, it wasn't about him dropping that second rope elbow every single match, or the headbutt to the groin like he used to do and stuff. You knew you were going to see that every match, but it was like his psychology of the ring, the selling and stuff like that. If you don't like it, then get in
Help
there and
improve it.
do, help. Yes.
I
Reopen
definitely
When
got
you
that.
know how to.
Yeah.
there's nothing about Bret Hart being away from the wrestling business the way he is and downing it that is helping the wrestling business.
I agree.
And for all of Hulk Hogan or Shawn Michaels or anybody else's faults of what they did in the past, the business is better when they're there and involved and not putting the business down. So I think I would love to see Bret just get involved more with what's going on to turn the product around, if that's what he really feels. I mean, and that's all it is. I really don't, again, I'm not a Bret Hart fan in any way, shape, or form, as we all know, but I think I'm the first person to admit that the business is better with Bret Hart than it is without Bret Hart. And I would just love to see him be able to come to terms with some things and be able to get back involved to where he's giving back. Huh?
Therapy.
I honestly and truthfully, I think he could use therapy for real.
I'm
just
sorry, but
just
it's
to help
true.
get
He would
over
just
some
go
of this.
to like a couple of sessions. We might just get the Bret Hart that we really, really deserve.
Oh God.
Oh, the sunny days.
I bet Shawn Michael knows all about those sunny days too, don't he?
Oh, I'm sure he does, son.
Well, yeah, man.
Well, everybody did, obviously. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Everybody was on
apparently,
the
yeah,
sunny
everybody knew
days.
the sunny days.
The sun was blazing backstage back then.
Randy Orton, I think, was definitely had some sunny days, and some other people.
That's crazy. But all right, moving on from Bret, we've jumped on Bret enough this match.
What?
Yeah.
Jumped on that hurt dog over there? Hell,
Right.
let's beat him some more. Wow.
So here's my
Freedom
next
Mother Down.
question. With all these mergers and stuff that's going on, what do you all think about? And let me ask you this: does this push WWE even closer to owning TNA, with the fact that TNA has signed an official TV deal with AMC, and the WWE does a lot of work with AMC, because AMC and A&E are parent companies or sub companies of, I can't remember which major company, which
Disney.
media thing. No, it's not Disney. I don't think it's AMC is owned by Disney, but WWE does a lot of dealings with them because of like what is it, the Legends of Wrestling and those shows that they do, the storylines and stuff like that.
Rivals or something like that.
Yeah. Yes. So
Yeah, all of those are on Disney.
Is AMC
Disney
owned by
Plus.
Disney?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I
think
just
it
looked it up
is.
last night because I was trying to figure out, because I was talking about this last night with my boyfriend. We were trying to figure out what all Disney actually had because of all the merger stuff. But my thing is like if WWE is literally, it seems like it's going downhill, and I know WWE will not acknowledge the fact that it is going downhill. I'm not really sure if TNA is willing to sign with them anymore or willing to sell up anymore,
So
and that's part of the reason for this merger.
Disney doesn't directly own AMC or A&E. They just have Disney is a major supplier of films for AMC theaters. So that's where the connection is. So they don't actually own them. But yeah, I mean, it's like I honestly and truthfully, I think this is just a precursor to see that WWE is trying to see, well, are they going to be able to pull ratings? And if they can pull ratings and, can do good, then we'll put the money at them and try to buy the company. I think that's what this is.
You think this is like a little test to see if it's worth it, and then they're going to snap it up?
That's exactly what I think it is, because they've done another, when before this has the WWE ever even acknowledged another champion? Even when Ric Flair showed up back in the early 90s on WWE television with the NWA World title, they didn't even acknowledge that it was NWA. They didn't. All they said is he's a world champion from another organization. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't even acknowledge that.
Are you talking about like 6 months ago when it first started?
What do you mean? No. I'm talking about what
WWE's been talking about TNA for the last 6 to 8 months.
Right. I'm saying back in that, but before this acknowledgement of, what was it? 10 years ago that they first put the women's world champion into the Royal Rumble. Or no, maybe it wasn't that long ago. But it's been a while. It was like something like that was whenever the first TNA women's champion appeared in the women's Royal Rumble, and everybody was like, "What the hell? Why is a TNA person?"
Yeah, it was Jordan Grace.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Up until that point, WWE didn't acknowledge that another wrestling company even existed. They wouldn't give any knowledge. They was like, you don't, even Vince's whole thing was, don't acknowledge anybody else. We are, we're the only thing that exists as far as our commentary team and stuff like that.
I think it's a filter for talent.
I do too. I think this is a test to where they're gonna. I think TKO is eventually going to own TNA, in my opinion.
But I thought
if they don't sell out of WWE first,
afford to buy like another wrestling organization.
That's my question too.
Like you said, though, it's portfolio. You know what I'm saying? This is to say, hey, look what we did.
Afford it.
Look at all these businesses we have, and blah blah blah. I don't know.
I thought the main thing right now with TKO's been bitching about losing money, so they're not doing a great deal with the Netflix deal like they thought they were, so it's like,
I still think there's a person on the underside that is hidden that owns TNA at the moment. I am sticking with that gun until it comes out that I think it's Shane McMahon personally. But I really don't think that WWE is going to get a hold of TNA anymore.
Here's the thought. What if TKO is watching TNA's deal on this and saying, hey, TKO or TNA may not be the company that WWE is, but we're in the red with WWE.
We got to do something.
Let's cut ties with them and buy TNA.
Go with TNA.
If the ratings are good.
That seems like a downgrade, honestly.
But does it? With the way all these, like Jericho and all these people came out and praised that TNA pay-per-view that they had, they said, man, it looks like a WWE production.
It did.
It did, but it takes more than just one pay-per-view to sell me on that shit.
True that.
I know, I agree, but I wonder if this is just like the blueprint being laid out to see.
I got to see more consistency with, like some of their storylines and their production, and then I'll give them a little more credit. Right now, like I said, one just doesn't have me sold just yet.
It doesn't me either, but to me, there's something else going on with this that we're not being shown You know what I'm saying,
I'm
in
telling
the
you.
mainstream. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on. So what about this? So John Cena, the WWE, TKO, and John Cena
That was the
are,
one thing I had to talk about.
well, see, great minds think alike. There's an official lawsuit against them now.
Are you gonna sue us with this?
You need to look up the original song and tell me if that's not the exact same song that John Cena. It's the horn part of the original song.
Yeah. It says the lawsuit
horns.
claims that the horns in the intro and the outro used in Cena's theme music were copied from a 1974 cover recording arranged by Canadian band leader, the late Pete Schofield. The complaint was submitted by Schofield's daughter, Kim Schofield, who says that let me spit it out. Who says she now owns the copyrights to the record and the music. She says that it's an original arrangement and that they've copied
Okay.
it.
I've jumped down a rabbit hole about this. I looked up the original song. It sounds exactly like John Cena's song. The horn part is exactly the same from the chorus to the verse. It is the craziest thing. However, this woman has already received $50,000 in a court for that reason exactly. Now she wants the court to reverse that order and pay her an additional $150,000 for this song. That's where I get the problem at, is because I get that the song is it's so uncanny how identical it is. But when you've already went through court, received $50,000 for that reason, and now you want them to reverse it because my assumption is you need more money for whatever reason.
Yeah. So she wants 150 instead of the 50,000 that she got. No, she wants the 50,000 plus another 150,000. So
she already, the 50,000's already gone. She got that, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was in 2002, 2003, which would have made it 2 or 3 years ago. But
obviously they had to copy it, or they wouldn't have paid her, or they were close enough to where they were going to lose. Like if it went to court, that's why they went and paid her out the money and shit. So
don't agree on a settlement if you want more money.
Exactly. So obviously she signed too cheaply, and now she went back and like, no. I think I deserve a little bit more money.
Seller's remorse.
Pretty much, that's what it almost sounds like.
It does. But to play devil's advocate, I'm going to say this. If there's a loophole in the system to where she can take it back, I mean, is it her fault or is it the legal system's fault for allowing that loophole? You see what I'm saying?
If there is a loophole, then yes, then I say take advantage of it. But if she's coming back and she signed the deal and she knew she was doing it, it's kind of just like you said, then she got her money and she's fucked. Then she should have signed for more at the time when she had the chance.
Right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
Like, I see it both ways. Like, I see, hey, look, if you can get more money, then get
more
money.
If she had not got the original settlement, I'd be like, get all the money you can out of it, honey. But you already agreed to $50,000, so you need to go sit back down.
Yeah, so she signed cheaply, yeah.
And I agree. Is it morally right? No, you
because
should,
they got the money, obviously.
It is morally right. She already agreed to
I'm
it.
saying,
that's her fault.
I'm saying, is her taking them back to court morally right after she agreed to the original agreement? I'm not saying that that it's morally right, but if it's legally able to be done, I'm sorry. If I'm in a car wreck and I signed I signed an agreement for $150,000 and they give it to me. And then 2 or 3 years later, my lawyer comes to me and goes, hey, guess what? We can resue them again because of this. And I can go sue them and get more money out of them.
You can't do that.
I'm going to get the money.
Legally can't.
Yeah. Like
if there's loopholes, you can.
Especially like if it's $1 billion company, like if I slip and fall and I sue Walmart for like $1 million, like I'm not going to feel guilty. But if I go to somebody like Jason's house and I slip and fall and I need to get my medical bills, and I'm going to feel guilty that I have to sue him to get the money. But Walmart, $1 billion company, I know they got that in spades. I'm not going to feel bad about it. And obviously, the WWE is $1 billion company,
Right.
and $150,000 to John Cena ain't shit, and neither is it to WWE.
Right.
And
Well,
pocket
it's Cena,
change.
WWE, TKO, and a few other
Yeah.
affiliates
Exactly.
that are all named in this lawsuit.
That's pocket change and shit. I mean, that is literally like what
I
they
mean,
probably.
I get it. I feel like it's still the principle of the matter. You
It
already settled.
is.
You
Oh yeah,
agreed
yeah.
with
I
it.
definitely
Get
agree
over
with
this.
you. Now, like morally, she signed a deal. You know, now
She should stick with it.
unless she didn't have all the information, that's the only thing that would change my opinion about
Right.
the deal.
I
was
agree
like,
with that.
would be like if they had all information or like she didn't have all the facts. Now, like if she has all the facts and she signed for 50 grand, then like I said, then morally, you know, she got what she got and she should have worked a better deal. But if she found out later on that they held this information and didn't tell her all this and that, and she got more,
That I
that
can
changes the
understand.
story. But as far as if all the facts are on the table and she still signed for 50, then she should take her money and shut the hell up. But at the same time, like I said, me, shit, if I can get more money, I'm gonna get more money. Because
Right.
that to her might be life-changing money. To them, that's what they're gonna blow in a fucking weekend on fucking housekeeping and shit or something. You know what I'm saying? That's pocket change.
That's the ring crew
Yeah,
salary
yeah.
for the month or whatever, you know.
You know, that's what I pay my maid for the year or some shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
And
one of the maids.
that's my thing is, you know, just the difference in that is, you know, like I said, morally, like you said, is it right? Well, no, not if she agreed to it. But again, what information is resurfaced that we don't know? You know, what loophole is there that allows this to happen? That's my thing is why don't we fix the loophole to where people can't just frivolously file lawsuits here and there? You know what I'm saying?
It is
my big
America.
thing. Right.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to change. I mean, because you can, I mean, like a motherfucker can break in your house and you shoot him, and he can sue you for shooting him
He
and
can sue
shit.
you for shooting him.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you can sue anybody for anything. Now, like
Oh,
whether
Don
you're
King,
gonna
only in America.
Only in
whether you're
America.
gonna win or not is a different story. So I mean,
Right. That's tricky.
So it looks like that we may have to pay for another subscription when it comes to
Fuck that.
WWE
fuck that.
Sorry. Fuck that.
because
I'm not
Peacock
sorry.
at the end of this month is getting rid of all their old school wrestling. So at the end of
Yeah,
December,
it's been
you won't.
slowly moving off there all once.
What the
So
library?
yes, you will not be able to watch like Mid South. You won't be able to watch World Class. You won't be able to watch all these old wrestlings that we
Like the
that-
WWF stuff.
well, no, just any of it, like the Mid South stuff, the old Jim Crockett promotion stuff. All that is moving away. They don't know where for sure yet. They don't. They
What
a
the
lot
fuck
of people.
you mean? We don't know. What are you gonna take information and just hold it hostage?
Well, no, what they're doing is a lot of people think that they're going to move all their video library over to YouTube, and then you're going to have to pay for their YouTube channel
There's no way.
to
Ain't
what?
no way I'm
Yeah,
paying.
that's
I'm not
it.
paying for that shit. Like they
I'm
kiss
not
my
either.
ass.
That's what
I'm
I
still
said.
paying for Peacock for a full year because I thought they were going to keep all their shit.
Right. It's like, what the hell, man? It's like, it makes no sense whatsoever. They're doing everything they can to micromanage every cent out of people that they can. And I don't like it. I'm losing a whole lot of faith in WWE. You know, it
VPN
just,
it up, you guys. Netflix has everything.
yeah, but it won't after a while because they're even talking about
If you put
changing.
yourself in Canada, it will. They're not going to change it for outside the United States. The United States is the only thing that's different.
They're talking
because
about
they know we're
changing it.
stupid enough.
They're talking about changing it because of all the VPN stuff. Because of everybody, yes, they're talking about changing the outside.
So they're going to go outside the United States, make all of them pay extra too, and then just lose even more people like that. I don't believe that because that's where their stability is outside of the United States.
According to insiders, right? And I agree. But they're talking about because of all this VPN talk and everything else, and everybody getting VPNs to watch everything instead. They're talking about, you know, busting it all up, not only just in the United States, but everywhere.
What are we talking about? They already have. In
Right, but
America.
I'm saying outside of America.
I know, but I'm saying, and then everybody else outside America is just gonna be like, "Fuck you."
Yep.
I'm telling you, like everybody else
They have
is not
different
gonna go
laws
with,
than here too
Mhm.
that
and it's
regard
not
that.
just and it's not just the law. It's just like people are just gonna go other places. Like I said, they know the name, but like I said, they're not loyal like they are in America. They're gonna go to something else. There's too many alternatives now to watch. They're gonna go find something else, and
Yep.
they're gonna lose out on a lot of international business.
TNA's
So
got a deal. AEW's got their deal. You know, there's other wrestling to watch, people.
I'm telling
And
you, they're just taxing themselves into the fucking ground and shit.
yep. Well, the last thing I've got before we jump out of here is to discuss the Netflix Warner Brothers deal. Which my question is that going to be a conflict of interest? Because what's going on here is Netflix is not happy with their deal with the WWE.
Obviously.
Because this article says Stranger Things season 5 reportedly has a $400 million budget, and its first 4 episodes pulled around 60 million viewers in the first week. WWE gets a 500 million per year. Gets 500 million per year from Netflix across 48 episodes of Raw. So far, the show has totaled about 140 million views. With their acquisition of the Warner Brothers library for around $82.7 billion. That's billion with a B. Cuts have had to be made, and subscription rates most likely will see an increase. WWE Raw is one of Netflix's lowest rated shows. They could end the deal sooner than later. WWE is the leader in sports entertainment. They will find another network, new home ASAP, but it may not be Netflix. So Netflix is not happy with the deal that they've got with the WWE.
But
And
What
if
do
they
you-
want out, they'll pay them to get out of that contract. If they think they're going to make money elsewhere, they're going to pay somebody to get out of that contract. Apparently, people are willing to pay whatever for freaking to buy people out of contracts now.
yeah.
So,
But is it right to compare Stranger Things to WWE? Because
no,
offense,
absolutely not.
like I watch them both, and and I haven't watched the new season yet, which I plan on it. But it's like Stranger Things took what 3-4 years for the latest season to come out and shit. Like we waited forever. I had obviously lost interest in the shit because it took so long between the seasons to come out that I just quit giving
Right.
a fuck. Now, like I'll watch it to conclude it and shit, but WWE is more consistent as far as being there regularly every week, always having a product. Obviously, the ratings are down, which we've talked about before, but that's because the product's been kind of shitty. Just recently, last couple of weeks, it's gotten better.
I don't know. This week was pure shit. They were once said
Oh.
that it was going to be epic, and it was one of the worst
Well,
Raws I've seen in a long time.
It was the whole Judgment Day because they came back and they're really pushing the women's tag team division now, and it looks like they're also pushing the men's because that's why they put AJ
That's all it
Lee
was.
and Dragon Lee, but it was pretty much all women. But like all the other big stars, like the whole the Vision, we got the Vision where obviously CM Punk and Braun Breaker are gonna battle it out. We saw that coming. Obviously from Survivor Series, they won. The women, the men, the heels won, and then the women, of course, the baby faces won. And then you had. So it wasn't terrible because I did like that. Of course, that Liv Morgan came back. Obviously, I thought the Judgment Day was about to break up, so they're obviously getting back. They're going to get a push for some titles or whatever. And I knew John Cena was not going to go out with the Intercontinental Championship. I called that shit.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way he's going to go to his final match and either still have the belt or win that shit. So I knew that Dom was either going to take it or somebody was going to take it. So I called that shit. That wasn't really a shock, but I didn't have an issue with it. Like I liked the end of it. We're basically all the women beat the shit out of each other, and then the Judgment Day pretty much cleaned house. And then Liz is basically going for another title run or whatever against Stephanie Verkea, which is one of my favorites. So I liked it. Like I said, I liked the week before. Now, the weeks before that, I was so bored and shit. With like I said, it was the same shit. Vision come out, beat the shit out of everybody. Couple tsunamis, and we're going on with.
So, what do you all think is the percentage chance out of 100 that Netflix cuts ties?
Within what? Are we talking about next year? Are we talking about 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
Just in general, before the deal's up, before the deal comes to terms, do you think that they will cut ties with the WWE, or do you think that they will still try to keep the experiment going?
I think they will keep it going as long as possible, but like I said, with buying the whole Warner Brothers, I'm not saying they're strapped for cash, but at the same time, they're gonna trim some of the fat. And if you ain't making money, no matter who you are, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna get rid of you. Now, is it gonna cost them a lot to get out of the deal? Because I'm pretty sure there's some type of clause in there, some type of buyout maybe, where like if they cut, the deal early on either side, then the other side's got to pay them out, so much money. And I don't see WWE having a hard time finding somebody else to go with or whatever.
Right.
I think they could, like before, they could go back to USA. They could go to another streaming service or whatever and still be okay. Hell, they might go all the way just to ESPN and shit and just be like, we're just going to do it all here.
Well, apparently ESPN's not too happy with WWE either because of the one of the apparently Freddie Prinze Jr. has inside friends where he used to work at, I know, ain't that crazy? Freddie Prinze Jr. used to be a writer for WWE.
I know, that kind of fucks me up too. I don't understand that shit.
But apparently he's got friends that work for Disney, and they're telling him that Disney and ESPN are pissed about this deal, because especially about the PLEs, because they're crap.
Well, yeah, I mean, they are crap. Like you said, I mean, you're barely having, I mean, you have what, 4 or 5 matches and you call it a pay-per-view and shit. Like, the matches ain't even that great. Like, some are good, some are bad and shit, just like anything. But it's like you're just not drawing people in and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not holding people's attention like you were before.
Not the way, yeah.
And that goes back to creative, you know what I'm saying, which I guess falls under Triple H's. Like you said, it's kind of like a head coach. It all falls at the top. Like whether your star player does good or bad, they're still going to always blame the coach. So, I mean, and that's why he gets paid all the money. This is his job to make a good product. If he's not putting out a good product, then he's got to take the criticism that goes with it. Yep. Now, I don't know what they could do besides maybe switch up things, maybe bring in somebody fresh. Maybe bring in somebody old school or something, but you got to do something, because what you're not doing right now is
it's not working
for business and shit. Or
you're losing fans.
Yeah, like maybe cut ties and go back to the WWE network. Honestly,
that's what I said. At this point, was it really worth moving everything away from WWE network? To me, it was just nothing but a cash grab, is all it was.
Well, that's exactly what it was.
I think it was just ahead of its time.
I think it was, but I think they realized that they could make so much more money by breaking it up and putting it on different platforms or different areas and getting revenue and streaming off of it instead of having all in one. Now, for the fans, it was perfect because you had everything you needed right where you wanted it. Like, you didn't have to go look here. You didn't have to go
one
there.
place.
You had it in one spot. But to a businessman, it's like, oh, I'm getting money from here. 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 Instead of just
constant
I'm getting money from it. Yeah. And instead of one area. So from a business point of view, I definitely understand why they did it. From a fan's point of view, it fucking sucked for us.
Yep. I don't know. It's just it's becoming too taxing trying to keep, not only in my pockets, but just the mental taxing too, to keep up with what WWE's doing, where you got to watch it and all that stuff. It's becoming too much. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, Yeah, that's all the stories I have. I don't have any more. Anybody else got anything?
No,
not really. Anybody's take on Survivor Series? Obviously, I don't know if we touched on it or not.
It was
told you Dom was going to win it back.
It
I'm
was
glad about
good.
that.
It wasn't everything I thought it was going to be, but
The masked person is going to be Randy Orton. I don't care what anybody says. It's
Okay,
not
okay.
Austin Theory. It's going to be Randy Orton. I
See,
don't care what
everybody's trying to
anybody
make.
says.
See, like everybody's pushing. The whole narrative is Seth Rollins. It's like, oh, Seth
Oh,
is
hell no.
Seth.
He just had surgery.
Yeah. So, who are we predicting? Okay, you're saying Randy Orton, legend. Do you have a prediction
Absolutely.
on who it is? Because I don't have a clue right now.
I
Or
don't
Sami
either.
Zayn.
I don't want to
Or Trick
put it out
Williams.
there because it wouldn't surprise me
I'm going to
if
keep my vote.
WWE brought in somebody from another company and
See,
put a
that's what I was
mask
saying.
on them and didn't, didn't
Buddy
reveal.
Matthews.
Think about it, because normally in a situation like that, the mask would come off and you'd find out who it was. Oh my God, they turned on them. But maybe the contract hasn't run out yet, so you can't unmask, but you
You
can
think?
put it out there.
Is there any chance that it could be Becky Lynch? Remember, she donned the mask once
No.
No, it
before.
was a big dude.
Yeah, it was
No,
too,
there's no way
it
it
was
was
too
Becky.
big burly of a person. That was
Too
definitely
burly,
not
no,
a female
no
spring.
boobs.
And she don't have that kind of ass either. So let me just say. I've been
So
working off the ass angle like this whole time.
Okay.
it's Billy
But
Gunn
my
then.
top three right now is Randy Orton was my top. Like that's who I guess as soon as it happened was Randy Orton. That's going to be my top guess. Then my next one is Sami Zayn.
See,
But me and Legend talked about last night, and I kind of agree with him on the Sami Zayn part because the beard and stuff, it would be too much to put all in this thing, and so I get that. But then my next one that came out was Trick Williams. I know you all don't know much about his story and what's going on with him right now, but it just fits so perfectly. Besides the fact that there's so much saying that Trick is coming to the main roster. I don't like that term anymore, but main roster like Raw and SmackDown. And then he just lost to Baby Randy.
But like he's got a lot of hair. Like there would be a lot of hair to put up. Like there would be a big,
But he doesn't wear it like that. He wears it mostly braided.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But if he had the person that had the mask on, didn't have any braids, didn't have anything showing, like if he was to cover all that shit
I don't know. It's the stocky build for me. It's the I can't do it because I'm a woman, but
I think it's somebody from like NXT. Honestly,
I'm sitting here growling.
It wouldn't.
That's gonna be my first guess or whatever. Like I think it's somebody new and shit. Like I think it's somebody
new.
Yeah, that's
for
my
right
prediction.
For right now, I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't think it is this person, but just a wild guess right now until I get more information. I think it's Obafemi. There you go.
He was backstage last night.
I think he's
well, tonight is deadline for NXT, the PLE.
Oh, okay.
And tonight there's a match between Obafemi and what's his name? Obafemi and the NXT champion, Ricky Saints. Sorry, my brain just
crapped
out on that.
That'll be a good
match.
But
there's an NXT championship match between Ricky Saints and Obafemi, and whoever wins that match tonight will be champion, yes. But then they also get to go on to next Saturday and face Cody Rhodes at Saturday Night Main Event.
Oh,
I forgot. I did want to ask you your all's opinion on that.
I like that idea.
I like it.
I do not.
Why not?
I do not. Because I like NXT better than I like the main roster right now. And whoever Cody's going to face, they're going to wind up losing to him. There's no way that they're going to beat him for the title. And then if it's not for the title, what's the point of the effing match?
Yeah, that title's not coming off Cody till Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
The title needs to come off of him right now, but that's a different conversation. But I'm just like, what's the point when you know that Cody's going to win and whoever the NXT champion is at the time is going to lose unless it's not for the title? If it's not for the title, then I mean, whoever the NXT champion is could win.
It could win. It could be like a DQ. It could be a count out or some shit. I mean, there's lots of ways for him to win the match without winning the match, or the belt changing hands. So that's
Right.
all a possibility. So they could still win the match, but just not win the title. I think it just gives them like a little bit more exposure. It shows that, like maybe they can hang with some of the stars, or maybe it's a preview for them coming to the WWE or whatever eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a stepping stone. Like, hey, I hung with Cody Rhodes. I said, I'm too big for NXT now, like if it's Trick Williams or whatever, and now I'm on the main roster.
Could be. There's a lot of mystery going on behind
It
the
was just
scenes
bizarre to me. It was
and
just
in
out
front
of
of the
the
scenes.
ordinary. It
This
was
is-
just random as hell.
WWE's becoming a circus of just trying to keep up with everything.
Oh, you're telling me.
Guys, I ain't got nothing else. Does anybody else?
Nope,
Nope,
I think
I'm
that's
good.
it.
Well, as the referee hits that 3 count, we are going to ring that damn bell.